Hi, how are you? Do I know you? Well, that little part of the question triggers a self introduction. Do you know me, who I am? So, can I tell you who I am? How does a self introduction go? How do you introduce yourself to another person who may know you well or who may not know you very well? Perhaps it could be the first introduction. But how do you introduce yourself? Well, most of the time we introduce some aspects of you, some part of your personality features, and often these aspects of the personality features reflect how great you are, what are your achievements, your victories, how terrific you are, how powerful you are, and what great things you have been doing, and your positions in the society, your achievements, and so on and so forth. Primarily, it is all about to show how great you are, or that you are such a victorious person. So, victory and achievement and positions sort of dictate the need for power for all of us. We all need to be powerful in certain sense, and often we have an urge to express this sense of power which we all experience through self-introductions. And the self-introductions could be just a verbal self-introduction, face-to-face. It could be an introduction through your FB or social media pages. But the urge for you to introduce yourself often is colored by the victories and achievements and an anxiety to prove that you have never failed, you have been always victorious. So it can go to such comical extremes that we introduce ourselves with our titles, with our societal achievements, and what others think we are, and the other institutions which have given us positions, responsibilities, and so on. So you would often see that many people introduce themselves when they write with the several titles they have, the several degrees they have, and several honorary doctorates they would have received. Well, are we saying that there is something wrong in it? Perhaps we deserve to be introduced like that. Well, the point here is that when two people connect or three people connect, the intent is to know each other. And by knowing each other, you connect with each other. And why do we connect? We connect because we can exchange, we can share, we can work together, and perhaps in the unity of the awareness of we two, we can create a common good. We can create better opportunities for perhaps many people, and we can create shared spaces, we can create creative expressions. But an introduction which is self-congratulatory, an introduction which is eulogizing to a great extent beyond limits, can be very intimidating and also often very comical. And the comical aspect of this very gross self-introductions are often ignored by the person who self-introduces. And the onlooker and the reader would definitely have a great time watching these self-introductions, reading these self-introductions, or hearing these self-introductions. And about the long stories about the victories said in small words. Well, how about introducing ourselves by sharing not too much of perhaps achievements, but a little of our disillusionments, our fears, our failures? Why not? because through these we expose our frailties, we expose our tears, a drop of tear in our eye. Is that such a bad thing? Interestingly, life is all about joy and sorrow. It's not only about joy, or it's not only about sorrow. The mix of emotions, the mix of failures and victories, the mix of achievements and failures, they all come together. And it's very difficult perhaps to focus only on one and say that I am this, because I am what I am because of the combination of these binaries. And these binaries add to the richness of what I am, who I am, and how I interact, and how I relate with another person. So how about introducing ourselves through sharing of joy, through the sharing of compassion, and through the sharing of passion, and even disillusionments. In that sharing, there is an honesty. There is a deep connectedness which reaches the other person and immediately makes you a dear person. The final goal of self-introduction is to connect primarily with oneself and thereafter to another person. And the best self-introductions are not just introductions about oneself, but introductions about perhaps the universal characteristics of the human mind, which is also shared by everyone. And these characteristics get a special color and a special flavor when they are added with the personal joys, personal sorrows, anecdotes of our narratives, and the transparency in which we can connect with each other. So the layers of those hidden self-introductions, which are sort of defensive and sort of creating a lot of walls between two people, disappears. Instead, we connect with introductions which are more transparent, which are more straight, which are more direct. And in all this, we also experience a sense of detachment. The magical reason why a few people connect with each other, or why few people have the ability to connect immediately with another person, is because they can experience both detachment and engagement at the same moment. And that is the magic of communication. That is the magic of connectedness. To be engaged with someone with the concentration and focus as if he or she is the only person who exists for you at that point. And while such an engagement goes, a deep sense of detachment, not only with the person with whom you are speaking, but also to oneself. The engagement detachment paradigm is one of the most powerful binaries. And as long as this binary is present in at least a healthy manner in everyone, our communication succeeds. And when that binary and that dynamics is in great extents very much present in us, we become excellent in communicating. And excellence in communication is connecting with the another person. Not just connecting superficially, but connecting with his heart, with her heart, and able to speak not just through words, but in between the words, in between the space of the sentences, in between the lines which you utter. And such a communication is possible only if we practice, if we experience deep engagement along with a deep sense of detachment. Is that possible? Try it out and experience for yourself. Bye for now.